Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. You want something, go get it. Period.
Flat earthers.
It's up to you to make it happen.
Before I get into this video, I just wanted to say that I'm aware that some people have to work a lot harder than I do. This video is based on my experience, the work that is required of me at the moment. I don't want you to take all this stuff to the letter. This is just based around the methods that I've built up over the years and what I've been doing to work kind of efficiently during this quarantine. These are just weird times. It's normal as well if you find it hard to work. I literally didn't do any work for the first month, I think, of quarantine. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's okay. For some people, work can be a coping mechanism. For others, it can be a bit too stressful, so you might want to throw yourself into other things. So yeah, don't take all of this stuff to the letter. It's just here as a guide if you need it, if you want it. Let's just get into the video. So the first thing I do is plan out my week. This tends to be either on Sunday evening, Monday morning, depends when I'm feeling it. I will plan out what I would like to get done in the week, and that's a very general idea. I don't really like to plan out day to day exactly what I need to get done, or even hourly. If that works for you, that's fine, but I prefer to have a bit more of a free schedule so that I get the things that I want to get done when I am in the right mindset to do them, so that I'm not like, right, I have to do this maths past paper on Wednesday because maybe on Wednesday I won't be in the right mindset. I also just wanted to say that you don't necessarily need a specific notebook to make your lists. I sometimes make mine on just a piece of free paper and just organise it myself. There are lots of options when you don't need to buy expensive things. Next, my routine. So I kind of had trouble getting into a regular routine with quarantine. I would say I went through 3 phases. My first phase was just being a lump. I did nothing. Then my second phase, I was trying to get back on my feet. I decided to go to the extreme and I would get up really early. Well, really early, that's like 8 early for me. And I would exercise in the morning, but then as time went by, I had trouble getting up earlier and I felt like I was losing my whole morning. So moving on to phase 3, now I wake up around 10ish, I would say. Sometimes it depends, like this morning I woke up at 8. I'll get ready for the day and go straight into my work rather than doing a workout, so that then I still have a bit of a morning. Sometimes I don't even get ready, I just roll in straight into the work. Now moving on to the actual work, which is probably what you've been waiting for. I just want to say as well, this is coming from a STEM student, so most of these methods are going to be STEM based, but I will talk about a few methods that I used to use in high school when I studied like history, geography, literature, and I'm sure a lot of these methods can apply to non-STEM subjects, but it's true that these methods are based around STEM. I said STEM many times in the sentence. Moving on. I have varying methods for working. At the moment, I've just been opening up some past papers. I used to hate doing this without studying prior because it would make me feel just like weak. Obviously, you just open up the past paper without having studied, often you can't do a lot of the content. But now I kind of feel like it saves time because you're pinpointing what content you have more trouble with and what you don't remember as well, and what you're going to have to spend more time studying, so that you don't waste time just going over the things that you kind of already know and master. Also, some lecturers have uploaded solutions. God bless their souls. One of them actually uploaded YouTube videos of like each question, doing the solutions by hand. That was my favourite lecturer. It's very helpful, and doing past papers is just a bit more stimulating than just sitting there in front of your notes. We also have this Google spreadsheet in my year for the physics past papers. Everyone kind of uploads the solutions that they come up with on the Google Doc, and it's really helpful to see if you're getting the same thing as other people. Obviously, we might be wrong, but if you're getting the same thing, chances are it's right. If you have a group of people that you can do that with, I would definitely recommend setting that up. When I get out a past paper, there are 2 scenarios that can take place. Either it is way too hard, I just don't remember anything from that module, can't do it, I need to go over it. And the second scenario is it's not that bad, I can just go through the past paper with my notes next to me and kind of like remember the notes as I go through, and I don't need to like do an intense revision session of those notes. This is actually a great scenario for me because seeing as all my exams have been cancelled, I don't actually need to learn the content, and the ability to like master the content is enough. If there are a lot of formulas in that module, I still like to make a formula sheet. I actually had made a load of them last year and I left them all at uni, so I don't have them to show you here. But I just recreated one to show you kind of, you know, the set out that I use. I tend to just write the formulas out with their names, what they do, maybe a little drawing to explain what it does, and I really don't add any more information with that because I don't want it to be overwhelming. The formulas are enough, and the formulas are kind of like a reminder of what the concept is. Making formula sheets also minimises the flipping backwards and forwards in the notes, and this can be applicable to like vocab or concepts in non-STEM subjects. Now in the other scenario where it's way too hard and I have to go back to some old school revision and studying, this can get pretty boring. So some things that I do to alleviate the task are just some casual highlighting. I feel like most people do this, but I'm just mentioning it. It does kind of like stimulate your brain, keep you going, just highlighting as you go along. Another thing I like to do is checking the things as I go along. So if I come across a proof, instead of just reading it, I often kind of like skim through it, then check if it works myself on my own without like trying to look at the proof too much. I also sometimes go ahead and make some flashcards. Even though this can be pretty time consuming, it can come in useful later. It's kind of like the formula sheets, so that I don't have to go flipping backwards and forwards again when I'm actually doing the past paper. Also, if there's a lot of content in the module that I'm going over, eigenphysics, and I don't want to make a summary, what I've been doing is I've been taking some like masking tape and just writing what this section, like what these couple pages are going to be talking about, so that I can find my way around it, and then I'll just stick it on the page, and then I can just kind of like flip to the right page to find where I am. Something I also find useful when doing past papers is just keeping a list of questions that I have, so that then I can just email those questions to the lecturer rather than just sending loads of emails like every 5 minutes. In the spirit of revision, there are so many different learning styles. These styles aren't fixed, they can evolve, and they are different for everyone. The big 3 or 4, it depends, that sometimes can be referenced to as VARC are visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. So the big 3 is VAC and the big 4 is VARC. Sometimes reading and writing isn't considered as one of the main ones, but I personally disagree because writing is one that I use a lot. I feel like writing can be combined with the visual one. Visual is basically the idea that images and mind maps and graphs will help you learn. For me, for instance, using colour coding, just making my notes look aesthetically pleasing, but to a point where obviously it's not too time consuming. In my exams, I will then actually like visualize the page that I'm thinking of. The auditory learning style is basically based on listening and talking about the subject in question. I used to do this a lot, again, for like history and geography. It just helps to put the subject into context, what you're learning into context, and learn how to debate about it. Lectures and group discussions are also very helpful if you're an auditory learner, and of course repetition is very important. This can be really useful for language, for instance. And even formulas, I tend to like repeat the formula over and over and over again until, you know, it's just there. For the reading and writing method, I found that it said that it meant translating abstract concepts into words and essays, which, okay, but to me it just means that writing it out actually has this muscular memory. Writing it out will help you remember. Writing out concepts actually helps me understand it better than just looking at it and reading it for some reason. And then the final one is the kinesthetic one. So this is mainly the fact that actually doing things will help you remember. So for instance, like repeating a lab experiment will help you actually remember how to do it and understand the concepts better. But there's also a theory that actually like moving around whilst learning can be helpful. So if you've ever like paced around your room, it could be that you're a kinesthetic learner. Of course, there are many more learning styles. They're not just restricted to these, and you can have a mix of these. I think something that's useful to remember as well is associative memory. So that's when your brain will associate something with like a scent, a flavour, a sound. That's also why I tend to study with music quite a lot. I'll come back to the music bit a bit later. And of course, for memory, sleep is key. Your brain needs time to sleep. Your brain needs time to organise all this information that you are feeding it. That's how the memory works. Its power, its battery is sleep. So obviously, as you've probably noticed, all of these methods are STEM based, but I just wanted to share with you a few methods that I would use in high school for like geography, history and literature. A huge part of my learning process were mind maps. Very useful. They really helped me like visualize what was going on. I also had these like huge timelines that I would make in history. It was just very useful to learn the concepts. So I basically just learned the whole timeline off by heart. In literature, something that would really help me was making little like sheets of the main quotes for the books that I had to study per theme. That would just help me kind of like organize my brain. When I would like have to write the essay, I would know what themes I wanted to talk about and then what quotes I could use. In literature, I also had these poems that I had to study. For each poem, I had like 4 themes that I was going to talk about. So I kind of created these bigger flashcards of like what I was going to actually talk about, and then I created these tiny little pieces of paper with the name of the poem and then the 4 themes on the back, so that I could just like learn better. When I got to the exam, as soon as I saw the poem, I would just literally write down the 4 themes I was going to have to talk about. So that would just like help me jog my memory. And then for geography, there was just really just having to write all the stats on flashcards. There wasn't much more to that, and it did really help me remember the stats, visualize them, and also writing them out helped me just go through the whole course. I still actually do make summaries even for maths and physics, because that's just how my brain works, and I do enjoy making little summaries when I just am not in the mood to work and I feel super unproductive, and that way you're kind of still going through the content. Even though you're not actually doing something particularly consequent, it does kind of help you feel a sense of accomplishment, and it genuinely does actually help learn, even though it doesn't feel like it that much. On my Christmas break, I actually made these little booklets for the 2 modules that I hated the most, because I didn't have much work to do over Christmas, and I just decided, what else am I going to do with my time? And now I'm really thankful that I made those. Now coming back to music, which I brought up before, music really helps me with motivation personally. It just keeps me going when I'm really bored. I tend to listen to movie soundtracks or like classical music. I actually have a big playlist that I've been making. I'll leave the link down below if you're interested. I'm still building on it. Actually, sometimes I do listen to music with lyrics. Not too much because it's distracting, but recently I've been getting quite bored with work. So it's been helping me just keep going. I've really been enjoying listening to Bombay Bicycle Club and once again, music association. Something else that I find really helpful with working and keeping going is having a list of all the modules that I'm doing, and then I'll just like tick off when I finish something. So I have if I've gone through the module, if I've thoroughly studied it, and if I've done a past paper. Something else you can do if you're getting really sick of just working is switching it up and going outside. I don't have a garden, but you can still find a field if you don't have a garden, which is what I've been doing. There's this like huge field where I live, and I just take a mat, my supplies, and I just work there, and it's actually really refreshing. Probably gonna go do that this afternoon. Obviously also use the outside to relax. You could take a book, take some drawing supply, get creative. Take breaks. It is so important. Don't beat yourself up too much. You need to reward yourself. I actually have a reminder on my wall that I'm not stupid, because often I tell myself that I'm an idiot. I catch myself and I have it written on my wall that I'm not stupid. And this goes for like if you're doing a lot of admin. Admin can be used partly as a break, but don't forget to take breaks from admin. And that's about it. When you're done working, just remember to reward yourself and take care of yourself and blow off some steam. I like to do some exercise after I've done some work, and then often I'll get a second wind after that. But it's just important to release and let go. I don't know, have a shower, go outside, go for a walk, and of course, go to sleep. What did I write? Doesn't make sense. Oh right, okay. From the surface of the Earth, which is assumed to be flat. Oh.